the wall on the right?
Nope, Beacon Lane, there was a telephone pole there, that opened up the trailer. Then he hit the fire hydrant, blow that right off the ground, and he flipped it over and it slid 500 feet on its side.
500?
He was honking.
Yeah, he was going.
Yeah, really.
Yep.
How could there not be speed involved?
Oh, yeah. Put it right
And
across
when
the
I
road.
got there, I got called right away. They were taking him away in the ambulance. I pulled up, and the gas was coming out of the truck like a coffee can. I could have filled up pails with it. I mean, that's how bad it was coming out. So the DEP officer comes up, he goes, "Well, we got a vacuum truck coming, and we're gonna, suck out as much as we can out of the tank." I said, "That thing better have more speed, because it's gonna be empty in about 20 minutes."
Exactly.
Should have run over and stuffed some shirts in it.
Yeah, the whole side. He opened it up like a coffee can. I got
Every,
pictures of it.
every place there was a baffle. Abby just split the tank. Abby pulled down some right by the top.
Super unleaded in the front, and the back was all regular gas.
So that would have been a,
Over under, you think will be done by time? Huge fireball.
yeah.
The DEP said to me, if that caught on fire or blew up, a half a mile radius would have been devastated. Flat.
Maybe.
It would have killed a lot of people in Norfolk. So we're lucky, very lucky.
Why didn't the skidding create sparks at the
Aluminum tank.
All aluminum,
Aluminum doesn't spark.
not sparking.
Thank
That's why
God.
all those tankers are aluminum. Little metal.
Yeah. Wow.
The only thing is aluminum's weak.
Yeah.
So when it skidded, it was, well, the telephone pole, I think, actually opened up the truck anyway. So,
Was he arrested? I hope.
no, I don't know, he was brought to the hospital. So
Haven't seen anything yet, though.
I'm sure he's not employed there anymore.
I hate to see the bill for that, sure.
Yeah, no kidding.
Millions upon millions.
I mean, it was probably all spilled before anybody, you guys could do anything about it, right? So then what
Pouring
happened?
out, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah. So what happened?
My guys came in and we were dumping sand all the way around it. So,
Try to dike it.
Yeah,
and that didn't work.
yeah.
Sand, it goes right through
They
it.
finally dumped it in a basin in the brook down by, up above the firehouse and stopped it there, so it didn't go any farther.
We did contain it to the 5 corners by, Shepherd and Emerson, it's like a
Curtis
big
John Curtis
intersection.
Road, yep.
That's as far as it went, so,
Stopped it so it didn't
Till
go
it
down by the
rained.
firehouse and into the Blackberry River.
right.
That's the big thing.
Yeah, they gotta test the milk at the farms up there. This is gonna be,
How come we didn't get played?
Did you go by?
I saw.
Did you see it?
All those people show up, we got rooms overcrowded, we gotta cancel the meeting, so.
we're gonna have to hold this appearance in school pretty soon.
They don't post the room with the windows.
We're good when you're good, George.
We're a little early yet.
The way for the, it's wasted time.
6:57. Well, 3 minutes for the hospital. Maybe it's overflow.
How are you?
Oh, very busy. That's why Jason.
I'm a part-timer here.
I like to think about myself. I like to go home sometimes.
Couple more minutes and we'll get going.
I see Richard's right, because
We're not on the clock yet.
I like clocks too much.
one in the back on the right. Wonder if she's getting information on the zoning change.
How are you? Nice to see you.
No, it's solutions here behind me.
Yeah, right. I like that one.
Regulation change. We're gonna just sit there. Yeah. That's all.
Some of them.
Like,
You should. I mean, having to sit here for,
All right, it's, got 7 o'clock. Call the meeting to order for the, Monday, November 14th, 7 PM, regular meeting agenda for, planning and zoning. Roll call, I'm George Clausen, chairman. Craig Sandin here on my left is, vice chair. Yeah. John Cooney, he's, anybody here from John?
I did not.
He may be in here momentarily, we'll see. Pete Marchand, Willie Platt, Troy Lemire, Charlene Lavoy, Felix Viner is absent. And so in the meantime, until John shows up, we'll seat you for him. And this second item is public comment. Do we have anybody here that's here for something other than what's on our agenda? Okay. Agenda review, any changes or modifications anybody has? Okay. So number 4 is public hearings. We got PZC 22-13, special permit applicant Ryan Tierney, owner PB Projects 4, LLC, location 32 Lake Street. Proposal special permit, brewery expansion, recreational entertainment facility, indoor private patio and proposed deck. Here's John. So we'll cancel that, fill in. John just came in. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
I've got to reset my timer here. And proposed deck as outdoor dining. So before we start the, open the public hearing, can we, you have the information on the advertisements and what was-
Yes, Mr. Chair. Got it here. Legal notice was given on the 31st of October and the 7th of November. Notice is hereby given the Winchester Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing at 7 PM on Monday, November 14th, 2022, in the P. Francis Hick Room, located on the second floor of the Winchester Town Hall at 338 Main Street, Winstead, for the following application: 22-13 special permit application, as was noted earlier. At this hearing, interested persons may appear and be heard, and written communication will be received. Copies of the above application are on file for public inspection in the Planning and Community Development Office.
Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we have a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Okay, it's moved. Craig is second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor? All right, we've got, before we take the applicant's information, we've got some staff reviews, and I think you've been copied on all this, have you? Okay. The first one I'm gonna talk about is dated September 19th. This is from William Petroface, the Assistant Building Official. On my review of PZC application referral dated 10/13/22, I have the following concerns with the plans submitted. The plans call for use of composite decking on the patio deck ramp areas. Most composite decking manufacturers require 12-inch on-center framing for commercial applications. The current design reflects a 16-inch on-center configuration. Please consult with the decking manufacturer for proper joist spacing and provide specs. 2, what is the gauge of the steel being used for the deck and access ramp in close proximity to travel lanes? And parking may make it susceptible to vehicle damage. Bollards or other impact protection should be considered. 3, in reference to section 1027.5 of the Connecticut section of the Internal National Building Code, exterior ramps must have a minimum fire separation of 10 feet from the exterior edge of the ramp exit. The proposed ramp only has an exit area of 5 feet. The ramp design should be reconfigured to double back to provide unobstructed exiting. This is, the next one I have is from, this is 10/19/22. It's a letter from Mike Stankoff, who's here with us. Upon my review of the application, 1, investigation of the site has revealed the outdoor dining use is been occurring not only on the existing patio, but also at picnic tables located in the parking lot during the summer months. Is the desire of the applicant to have the outdoor dining use be confined to the existing and now newly proposed patios, or is the desire to have such dining extend to the area where the picnic tables are currently proposed? 2, investigation of the site reveals a broken chain link fence by the river in the area to be paved in phase 2 of the project. This fence should be replaced during this part of the project. 3, the shields for the light prick fixtures over 2 lights on the site appear to have been rotated up and are not currently providing full cutoff lighting. These are located at the west door of the phase 1 section of the building and the door that outlets from the phase 1 region into the phase 2 parking lot. These fixtures have been full cutoff in the past. Please rotate them back down to restore full cutoff lighting to these areas. 4, we have questions about grading requirements for the rear of the lot. There is a section in phase 2 paving region that is rather steep. It appears that the proposed stairs for the patio will fall in this region. Will there be regrading of this area to smooth the slope or to fill in under the proposed deck? 5, the stairs at the front of the proposed patio are not reflected on the site plan. 6, the site plan as submitted was not signed or stamped by the surveyor. 7, older drafts of the plan appear to call for permanent guardrail to be installed along Lake Street. This guardrail should be installed by the end of phase 2. 8, the attached plans for the site do not feature any architectural information about the proposed building section to be occupied by the indoor private entertainment facility use. 9, the attached plans do not feature any signage information from the proposed business going into the indoor private entertainment facility. 10, there exists on this site an environmental land use restriction, an ELUR, created by the town of Winchester to hold itself and those who may perform work on this property accountable for ensuring environmental isolation of contaminated soils. The conditions of the ELUR, which constitute the environmental isolation of the site under asphalt or other impermeable materials, will need to be met by end of the construction. A temporary release of ELUR must be filed should any disturbance of existing encapsulation conditions be required. Such work should be supervised by a licensed environmental professional. This is from, there's no date on it, but this is received tonight with our packet. This is from Fire Marshal Stephen Williams. Upon my review of PZC application referral dated October 13th, 22, I wish to make the following comments regarding the site plan and building plans that have been submitted with this application. Drawing A-101, proposed second floor plan, a second fire exit is depicted on this drawing. Is this fire exit going to remain or be removed, as was recommended in the comments made during the prior plan review done on this project? Drawing A-01, proposed outdoor deck. In consultation with the Winston Fire Chief James Lagasse, there is a concern that a minimum 20-foot clearance be maintained from the northwest corner of the existing brewery to the location that a car would be parked, and the northwest corner of the proposed deck to a location that a car would be parked. This clearance needs to be maintained for fire apparatus to be able to access this section of the building complex, as per section 503.2.1 of the Connecticut Fire Safety Code. There is concern regarding the outside picnic area on the north side of the brewery and how this area would be quickly cleared for fire apparatus to access the west section of the building. Delineating fire lane in this area would help to alleviate this concern. This is dated September 20th. It's from Jim Rollins, our Public Works Director. Site layout, clarification, and commitment of paving, drainage, retaining wall, and contaminated soils removal should be part of this approval process. Water service, no comments. Sanitary sewer, lateral, no comments. Storm drainage, no comments. Water and sewer bills are all paid in full. Miscellaneous, or ELURs, which I spoke of in the earlier letter. On this property, all approvals should be conditioned as to comply with these restrictions. This is October 17th, 22. This is from the chief, William Fitzgerald. He's reviewed the plan submitted, find no police-related safety concerns. I think everybody on the commission has received a copy of the June 11th, 2018, which was a certified mail that went to PV Projects, and then a 13 letter to Brian Lyman. These are all be part of the record of the project. So, with all that introduction, please proceed.
Good evening, Chairman Clausen and Commissioners. My name is Ryan Kearney. I'm a project manager at Parker Benjamin, overseeing the Winston Edgeworth property at 32 Lake Street. We're here today looking for a special permit for use. We're looking for brewery expansion to include tap room and banquets. In phase 2, we're looking for a patio and proposed deck for the uses of outdoor dining. Modification of our approved site plan to include proposed deck, egresses, and ADA ramp. Modification of approved site plan to allow proposed paved asphalt. And we're looking for a special permit for use for the axe throwing menu in phase 3 of the building.
Okay. We have plans up here?
Yep. So these are this is the survey. Phase 2 will be this portion, cutting off right here. And phase 3 abutting just next.
Okay. Has the soil been removed from the site?
Yes. Yep.
Verified everything on that?
I have to admit, I haven't performed a site inspection since it was still there. And I had a chance to speak to Director of Public Works Rollins today, but I did not have a chance to talk to him about that material. So I
moved on Friday, six truckloads.
Okay, that makes consistent because I was there on Thursday and I thought it was still there. But I had not had a chance to inspect since then.
All right. So why don't you describe on this, whatever your plans are, what your project is gonna entail on the site, please?
The phase 2 expansion in this area, the proposed deck on this portion right here. This will be the ADA ramp. And this portion below the existing brewery is the proposed area to be paved.
Is that whole area to the, looking at the plan to the right-hand side, is that
All the way to the end of the parking lot?
all the way into the end of the parking lot, all gonna be paved?
Yes.
When? For access to the completion of this application?
Yes.
It will be.
Yes.
Okay. Now, the constraint, the comments about the stairway coming out, have you looked at that, addressed that with this plan?
The stairway attached to the deck. Or attached to the ramp.
Attached to the deck, because it's a narrow.
It would be the ramp going down from the deck.
Mr. Chair, are you asking about my comments?
Yes.
So the stairs on the proposed plan, I believe they're on about 6 pages ahead of this, is the deck diagram. But there's a proposed egress stair in the middle of what is shown as proposed deck there that protrudes outwards from the deck. It wasn't noted on the plans on the site map, though it is clear in the design, which is why I noted it. It doesn't extend more than a few feet. It's a couple of steps down to reach level.
So is there any problem that you see from what you've seen in the plans?
My biggest issue with, as I saw it, was the actual site grading. So the site's not perfectly flat, as shown there. We don't have topo on this. It's a mostly flat site. But in this area, we have essentially, so you see the stairs right there beneath area of work and the proposed deck. There's those little stairs. That's existing. Right now, next to those, there's a big door where you can back stuff up and you can unload. That area is kind of at one elevation, and then there's what I want to say is like an 8 to 9 inch rise, kind of rapid, up to another level. And it seems to me, from where I was looking at where the stairs are proposed to what the site grading looks like, that they're going to land right next to that grading. And I wasn't sure if there was going to be fill as a result of removing that door or not.
How do you respond to that?
They were, yeah, like you said, the next couple pages of the site plans, I could pull it up, had a more specific detail of the stairs that's not shown in these drawings.
You don't have that on the screen?
I can pull those up.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, I see,
That would be
right
these
off
right
the
here.
middle of the deck, yeah.
Right. So it doesn't come out very far. 6 inches wide, 3 steps down. Standard height, you're looking at 2 to 3 feet, right? Yeah,
6 inches wide?
6 feet wide, rather. Yeah, 6 feet wide. I think it's 7 inches per step is building code, thereabouts. Don't quote me on that, not a building official.
Okay. Okay,
And that location was actually very level when we went out and did our sidewalk. It's just when you go to the left.
You go to the left a little bit, yeah, and it kind of drops
Starts to
down.
drop.
Because there's there's a straight route for a truck to back up to that access door, and then you go over to the right and it's higher, but that transition is odd, and I wasn't sure if there was anything planned for it.
Since those will be sitting on piers, I think it'll be fairly easy to have them level.
Okay. Yeah.
so this is gonna be not a solid structure going down into the ground, this is gonna be on piers?
Yes, correct.
Because there was earlier discussion about it being a solid.
Yes, that was changed in the last reviews of the site plan.
Okay.
Originally, the first drafts that came to the planning department had the patio with solid frost walls being used to encapsulate some of the contaminated soil before it was removed from the site. Now it has been removed and taken to a safe processing location. They no longer have to encapsulate.
Correct.
All right, so, kind of taking it out of order here, but do you have responses to everything that I've read on these different
Yes.
letters? Okay, why don't you go ahead and tell us about it?
As for the concerns with the building official, I believe everything will be clarified when we go for a building permit and submit new site plans. So all 1, 2, and 3 on that page.
Yeah, we're not, it's just an alert to you because of the submittal. The building department will work out there, with you guys what's.
Understood.
Yeah, okay.
And then for the Planning and Community Development Office, as for item 1, actually, I think Mills can speak better on the,
Yeah, we've been using, Bill Johnson, owner of the Red Barn Brewery, we've been using the parking lot under the COVID regulations that allow an extension for the outdoor seating. The intention is once the new patio is completed in conjunction with our existing patio, to remove all those tables, because quite frankly, we'll need the additional parking spaces to be given back to our business and the other business who are now coming to the property.
Okay, so that whole thing of all your layout is just gonna be changed?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, everything being, restricted within, the two patios of the,
Okay.
of
item 2, the proposed fence, the fence detail was located in the top left corner of the plans, right over here where my mouse is.
Point that out again, please.
The top left corner where my mouse is right here, that's the fence detail.
And that's going to be the guardrail that's going to run along Lake Street? Or is that the new fence along the waterfront?
Along the water, yes.
Okay.
So, for that, this was not a proposed fence to be put in. This was marking an existing fence that was removed, along Meadow Street here. I believe that was the issue for, item 7. The permanent guardrail to be installed.
So is that,
Wasn't to be installed, that was an existing one that was removed.
so that's incorrect the way it's drafted on this letter?
Yes. Yep.
So
So that guardrail, so when I look at Lake Street there and I see running almost coterminous with the property line, that
That's right,
there,
you're referring-
that is an existing guardrail that you took out with no intention of replacing with a guardrail?
Correct.
Okay.
So that's item 7.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, old dilapidated fence, I believe. It was falling apart, rusted, chain link fence, yeah.
So there's no intention to do anything to separate Lake Street.
Okay, good to know.
Correct.
What about item 2, the fencing along the stream? That's missing.
The broken chain link
Yeah.
fence along the
That'd be
street.
replaced.
Yes.
That's
that-
along the parking lot between that and the river.
Yep, that's shown in the plans. On the top left corner is the fence detail, and that's going in, right along.
Yeah, it's right in the curve area of the stream.
All right. Separation for parking and so forth, is that, how are you addressing that with regards to this deck out from the back and how things are gonna be placed so that they've got access to get emergency vehicles
Yeah,
back
there
there?
needs to be, will there be 20 feet between the decking and cars with
Yes.
access all through?
Yep.
From part of the building, everywhere?
Yes.
Okay, because that'll be one of our conditions.
And for, item 3, the cutoffs, I believe, was, Michael.
It was
overseeing-
restored, yes,
I got
I,
over my favorite heights and fixed it.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then,
Thank you, Nels.
we
Yes,
also
that was-
provided, a spec sheet for the proposed lights that will be installed, and then, so they're full cutoff lights.
How about the Eversource lights? Is that been-
You know, that was, we have nothing to do with that. I'm not sure why, when, where, how that got put in. We haven't, changed any of the lighting since we've opened our doors.
But that light was added after you opened.
You know, I believe it was, and it was not by any request that I know on our property, so that's an issue that has to be brought up with Eversource. I kinda like it, I don't wanna lose it, but, yeah. nothing
No, I
to do
think,
with it.
well, I mean, you wanna have a safe operation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just blinds you when you come around the
Coming
corner.
down the road there, it's, so these are the, with these
It's just an
details.
example, yeah.
Mhm.
There's,
Anybody wanna
Everybody
look at
wants to
any
see
of
it.
this?
Basically the same as the existing ones.
All right. What else do you have there?
For item 4 on that note, that was the concern about, the area to, have that slope smooth, and that's solved by, our installation of the decks on the piers.
Well, you don't have a big rise to the level of that deck anyways.
On the right.
You got a short stairway.
The stairs we discussed,
The surveyor came in and stamped the copies of the plans that were
For item
updated.
6, those, yeah, those are the ones up on the screen. 7 was the fence to be removed. For item 8, any architectural information for the indoor private entertainment facility for use will be on the building application, the site plan is not being submitted.
Are you changing anything on your outside, the freestanding sign?
The sign you
The sign, you've got a freestanding sign out there. Is that being modified at all for this?
for the not attached to the building, the
The
freestanding one.
freestanding,
Yeah, we'll be adding,
but within the face
Then
that's
the
there.
frame is already.
yes, yep. We'll most likely be doing a coming soon for the axe throwing menu as well as their sign once they open. Yeah, that's 8, 9. And then the last item being the pile of dirt that was removed. For the concerns from the fire marshal, all of those will be addressed in the site plans that you submit with the building application.
Okay. Did you go back through the 2018 approval? Do you have a copy of that?
I do.
Anything that's on this 2018 that was supposed to be done in order to open the first phase, you need to have compliance so that this will be completed in order to operate this new expansion. Unless there's something that you bring up tonight that we can clarify.
So I actually, I guess the only thing that I can see is number 5 on that list. At the time of we got our initial approval, the town didn't have regulations in place that allowed for outdoor seating, which I believe now have been rectified. So I guess we should formally get the approval for the patio that's been in use and approved back in 2008.
As it's sitting on your plan.
Yeah.
So how does that, because we've got an extension on that from the
From the
governor's
state.
activity.
Until the end of 2023.
Right.
So the addition of that executive order, and I don't know if it's actually the Midden Act or if it's just extended, but until the end of 2023, all the relief for outdoor dining stays in effect. We don't know how much longer it's going to be extended, but it continues to be very popular with the legislature and with the governor. So we'll have to wait and see. This makes it right with our zoning regulations in addition to.
That's my only concern is that we don't wanna see something have a termination date based on what the governor's saying. So do you need to do something with the Torrington area facility?
No, it all came down, quite frankly, to the building department here, since at the time, Steve was the planner, and he was supposed to work it through in the regulations. I believe it's now on the regs that outdoor dining is approved, so businesses such as myself and others, who, once this COVID relief is gone, will need to get formal approval to be continued use of these outdoor seatings. So I don't know if that's something we need to bring up here, that's something you can do with a blanket and grandfather people in.
It is supposed to be here. It's always through special permit use, and you do have it on the proposal here.
Well, I'd like to see us consider that tonight when we're looking at this,
I'd like to get
so that
formalized.
we
Yeah.
don't have to go
So
back
it's all
and make
included in
a
doing it
commitment
in one
with-
time, not twice.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, yeah, everyone.
I mean, you're actually improving the way it's being utilized, the whole site, with putting your deck on there and getting these things taken care of. And you're providing an opportunity for some, at least some more parking in the back section that never had been taking place, so. Okay.
We have an issue with anything else. Yeah, we don't see an issue with anything else.
Okay. I think the 2000, something 2019, but I think that was the approval of the freestanding sign that had not been taken care of earlier.
Let's say February 11th.
The signage permit.
All right. Can you just describe how you're gonna utilize access through the building to get to the second phase of this? And how you're gonna utilize the square footage?
So the phase two for the expansion for the brewery is gonna include a second bar that can service the banquet facility. There's gonna be a food prep area, which at some point may be expanded into the kitchen, but at this time, we are not looking for those approvals. And then there will be access to that building, through phase one for the employees to access phase two. And then the primary entrance for the patrons will be, through the patio, entrances.
At the back patio?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the new proposed patio, yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so that goes to where the jog in the building where it becomes smaller? That's the definition of the
That is correct,
the end of that line? Okay. All right. Do you have anything else you want to provide us?
No, I think I covered every concern that was presented.
Okay. We haven't heard any, there's been no problems with the operation of the site, or
No complaints we've received at all.
it's been,
Do you, and I don't even necessarily wanna bring it up, but do you have any kind of update on the windows? Are they complete, what you,
The phase 4 and 5.
you were working on?
I believe we didn't get any approval for the building permit,
Okay.
Find out where Bill is with it.
as well as approval for the building permit to work on the roofs as well.
I will find out where
Phase,
Bill is.
5 and 6.
Yeah.
this phase two, that big section we're talking about, you
Yes.
getting a new roof on that?
Yes.
Yes.
The whole building or just that section?
For this, just that section. But we plan to do the whole building
When?
as soon as we get our building permits approved.
Are you have a,
We have a building permit pending.
and it includes all the roofs?
Yes.
The complete
All
building?
the way
Yes.
to the end?
Yep.
So the very last section?
Yes.
We're really hammering that all the way.
We have a pending,
Everybody knows what we're talking about.
yes,
Yeah.
That include windows?
Yeah,
Windows
right.
too? Does that include all the windows to close the rest of the building in,
It's a-
so it's not wide open?
It's a separate, building application for the windows.
Right, but that's in the process.
Yes.
It's not years away. 'Cause it's been 5 years
And
now.
as soon as we get approval, we're ready to act.
No, it's just asking, it's been 5 years, so.
Sure.
All right, let's, we'll open it up to the public, and then we'll talk to the commissioners, will have an opportunity, any questions they have. Anybody here in the audience have any questions or comments with regards to this application? Just raise your hand and we'll just introduce yourself and your address and, yes.
My name is Donald McCurdy. I reside at 11 Birdsall Street. I've lived in Winston since 1988, 34 years. I've seen many changes over the years, some good, and some not so good. But all in all, Winston always manages to survive. I stand here today to speak on behalf of the Little Red Barn Brewery expansion. I've had the honor to meet
Excuse me,
the
sir.
three.
He's got a microphone.
Just to pick it up for the camera.
Come in and do this.
I've had the honor to meet the three owners of Little Red Barn, Nils Johnson, Matthew Day, and Nathan Day. These three men had a dream to start a brewery and to serve men and women their craft beer. They started this adventure in a garage, and bang, it took off, and from there, the journey began. They came to Winston and decided this is where they wanted to build the dream. Three men, not tied to Winston in any way, but still willing to build this business here in our town. So with help from numerous people, and that's exactly what they did. They took on a project, worked with developers to convert the old Lambert K property on Lake Street into a warm and inviting gathering place. While this brewery is an establishment that sells beer and wine, it is also a place where you can go and listen to some relaxing music by men and women that are hired by the brewery to entertain their patrons. You can also get a bite to eat from food trucks that the brewery schedules to be there for our convenience. It's a place where you can visit with friends and family and relax, not rushed, and certainly treated with respect. But wait, there's more. Little Red Barn also is very involved with things that go on in our town. I know they have made numerous donations to other organizations, they support other businesses in town, and they work with other clubs and organizations to support them. I even remember a few years back, there was a family in our town that were displaced from their home due to a fire, and the Little Red Barn had a clothing drive to help this family. There are many occasions that Little Red Barn has done great things for the people of our community. I have personally witnessed the smiles on the faces of children from our own community last Christmas season when Little Red Barn put on an old-fashioned Christmas for the community, with caroling and lights, trees, and even Santa made a special visit after lighting the Christmas tree in our park. So see, this is not just a brewery. It is a warm and inviting place where you can go and laugh and cheer, and if need be, cry with others. Those three wise men had us in mind when they started their dream. So members of the Planning and Zoning Board, I ask you to vote favorably on this expansion, knowing that this will be a great addition to our town. It will help these three men with a dream to serve our community better. Thank you.
Well, I can't say anything after that. That was wonderful. I'm John DeCosta, my wife Jen and I are here, we live on Hillside. I just wanted to quickly say, these guys have done enormous work for the community, just wonderful things, bringing people together. Anything we can do to help them, we try to do. I really ask for your support for the project. That's all.
Anybody else have a?
Good evening, board. My name is Eric Schessel, and I live right on 38 Meadow Street. I literally live right next door to the brewery. Since they've opened, I've been a big supporter of what they do. Like this gentleman here stated, they do so much for the community. I've collaborated with them with my own nonprofit, and they continuously just selflessly give to the community. And this expansion would allow them to do so much more than what they are able to do now, which is, again, so much for everybody that's here. I mean, you see all the support that they have right now. I highly encourage you guys and plead you guys to vote favorably on this. Thank you.
Shirley,
Yeah, okay.
go ahead, sir.
Hi, my name is Jerry Burns. I am an investor in the Little Red Barn Brewers. I live at 129 Rock Road, Burlington, Connecticut. I've known these guys for many, many years, especially Nilsy, but I'm also a land use professional in another town. So what I'm just gonna ask the commission to do is to please look at all the information. The dining rules are expiring next year, so this is a great plan to get that deck and get everything out there done. But if you actually look at what this means to this community, I think you guys know, you live here, you saw what it investor, I want to feel confident that my money's doing good in this town. So, thank you.
Anyone else have something that they'd like to contribute?
Hi, Jean Richard, 132 Blue Street, and also the owner of the Marina at Highland Lake. As a small business owner, I understand what it takes to expand and grow and the process that you have to go through. So I think Little Red Barn is a great business now, and with the expansion, I think they're going to be even greater. So I fully support Mills and the company. Thank you.
Evening. My name is Joe Miller, and Mills was instrumental in me getting involved with the town of Winston. I moved here 3 years ago, and I'm the owner of the Capitol building across the street. And I'm very interested in how his business has progressed and how he's given me support in my plans and what we want to do with our building. And he's very supportive of other businesses in the town, and he's expressed his interest in us working together as we move forward on our plans. And I think that looking at what he's doing with his business, that the board should give their full support. So I wish him all the success in the world.
JK's 167 West Wakefield Boulevard. I just wanted to come tonight and support Mills and the crew. Back in my early days of becoming a state rep for this town, we pushed hard for the $500,000 deed grant to clean that property for economic development. Not knowing what we would have today, and if you go there tonight, you can't even find a parking space. We'd like to report back that, this is a primary thing that people look at. When you bring dollars to the town, you look for economic development. This has really brought something to our community, and like everybody has spoken here, not only bring it to the community, but they're giving back to the community. I know we have regulations to look at and things to look at, but keep that under your hat that, we have to look at the type of businesses that we want here in Winston. And those steep grants keep coming, and boy, that property has really shown what we can do with state dollars that come to the town of Winchester. I look forward to your support. Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else in the audience? Okay, Commissioner, sure, you all set? All right. Anybody else at the table?
Just wanted to make sure that all the criteria from the last approvals were met and the town's satisfied.
So as far as I can tell, going back through the records, Little Red Barn is compliant, and the site as a whole is compliant with the 6 requirements that were on the June 13th, 2018 approval, aside from the brewery and tap room only being allowed inside and then expanding to the patio. Now they're getting right with that with this application. The sign is compliant. Any problems they had with outdoor lighting have been taken care of, and I think all of my questions have been addressed with their most recent work. They've already been before Wetlands. Wetlands has looked at this and didn't have any major problems after a couple of concerns about removing that soil, which was already done. From a site work standpoint, I think they're ready to go.
All right, anybody else from the commission? Okay, we could have a motion to close the public.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing 22-13, special permit.
Second. Great, second. Any comments or questions with regards to the motion? All in favor of the motion? Okay, thank you. We'll take it up later in the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've had.
Oh, no, wait, you're here for both, aren't you?
Yep.
No,
You
I-
gotta wait for yourself.
I had asked
You gotta wait for yourself. I saw them there, and that was,
Yeah, and they were in our packet. I just wanted
Yeah, they're
to make sure we had them before we get into the gist of all this.
Yeah, they're here.
We got it, stuff in writing, so.
He's giving us drafts.
Okay.
The whole thing, you can go home and watch it on cable or on YouTube channel.
Good.
You're welcome.
I was just like,
Still got some open. from
We got 90 Whiting
I know.
Street on deck.
but we haven't signed or anything, so.
Talk about it.
Kind of been concerned about myself.
Okay. Just get something tightened up here. Okay, the next public hearing we have tonight is PZC 22-14, special permit applicant owner, American Mural Project, 90 Whiting Street. This is a proposal to construction of a new concrete exterior stairway requiring grading in excess of 15% slope and a new concrete retaining wall at the base. Also includes relocation of existing bituminous sidewalk with new canopy covering the landing area. Was that advertised at the same,
Yeah, same advertisement as PCC 22-13 and the following application, PCC 22-15, all were run in the paper twice, 10/31 and 11/7.
okay. Just, before we get carried away, let me just see what we've got for public, or the staff. This is from William Petroface, Assistant Building Official. He finds no issues. This is from Mike Stankoff, October 31st. Upon my review of PZC application 22-14, referral dated October 25th, 2022, I have the following. One is, what is the pre-development slope where the intended concrete exterior stairway is being located? If it exceeds 25%, a variance will be needed for the construction condition of PZC special permit, so. Let me see where else we have here. Order to address
Looks like
this.
nothing on the other ones that I saw.
No. Nothing on the remaining, nothing from the police chief. So, introduce yourself and let's proceed.
Good evening. My name is Robert Quilabella. I am a senior project engineer with Lennard Engineering. I'm here today representing the applicant, American Mural Project, for their application that they have in front of you for, I think this one is section 2? No, section 3D, article 5, which, as you mentioned, is a special permit for disturbing earth on a project in existing slopes that are greater than 15%. And to answer his question, existing slopes right now, there's 2 existing retaining walls. So the slopes on those retaining walls, there's terraced, and they're not even 10%, behind each retaining wall. And the total slope is just under the 25%. And so the reason we're here is because it's greater than 15, however. So, and that's why we're here for the special permit. So let me tell you a little bit about the project, which is really pretty simple. This is a 10 scale, this is a 4 scale drawing, and so this is not a lot of work going on here. What they're looking to do is, there's a landing area here. Currently, this is the parking area. They have a they have a staircase that goes up to the first level where there's a loading door here. And currently, there's these two existing retaining walls here, and everybody seems to need to walk to get up there. They have to walk up this little slope, and you can see the path they're making in the woods, and I've tried to traverse it, and it's, not that easy to get up that slope. So, in order for patrons to access the upper area of the American Mural Project, they needed this staircase and this walkway to get over to this existing door.
Can I just interrupt you for a minute? Do you have an overall for how this fits in the main project?
Complete site plan?
I do. It's
Right there.
right there. That's it. This is that's a 40 scale drawing. That's what I needed to fit the entire property in there, otherwise I'd get, that's why I put a little blow up here in this corner. I doubled the scale so you can kind of zoom in on it, and then got even a little closer over here. But, so, here's the existing parking lot that I was discussing. Here's the lower staircase. You come up to this first landing, and that's an entryway, and then we're gonna put this second staircase up here. Now, the nature of the staircase itself does not lend for, with an 11-inch tread and a 7 to 7 3/4 inch riser. That's, that's like 60%. There's nothing you can do about. That's a max and a min on stairs, and so we are following the grade along the edge of the stairway. But as we come around the corner, we break it back out at 2 to 1. So the grade between here and approximately here and approximately here is about 1.6 to 1. That soil's being reinforced with a reinforcing system. And there's a railing, there's 3 railings, one on either side. And there's going to be, instead of the 2 retaining walls that cut across like this, there's only gonna be this retaining wall here and this retaining wall here to catch this. And that's the entire project. It's, if I'm not mistaken, it's not quite.
Where's the canopy going in this? Where's the canopy going?
It's not even 1,200 square feet, excuse me?
Where is the canopy going on this according to the application?
Oh, are you looking at the right application?
Yeah, it says canopy over the stairs, Rob.
Right,
Canopy covering the landing area.
this right here,
That's next to the building, on the back side, rear side of the building?
right here, yeah.
Yeah, between the 2 buildings.
Yep, right now, currently, what's out there is there's a doorway out here. And outside the doorway, there's just a mound of earth coming down. And so rather than have this mound of earth coming down, obviously that's very difficult for people to get up into the door. So, because the grade, there's a big grade difference there. There probably was some kind of a dock there, a deck there at some point, but it's long since been removed. So this walkway is going to connect this portion with this staircase.
And that's where they're gonna go into that covered area?
Right, you're correct, right in through there.
Entryway.
And it's gonna, this will all be at this, the same elevation as you get there, and you come in through that door. And there's a path that just kind of loops around right here and then comes down in front of this. And we're just moving the path over a little bit so it comes down in front of the retaining walls that we have down there. Keeping that at handicap accessible as it was before, and it still is. So that's to get to this area. Obviously, it won't be handicap accessible to get up that flight of stairs. But at least they'll have access and ingress and egress to and from, and another egress from the building in another location to get people safely in and out of the building should the need arise. That's presentation, that's what they're looking to do. And the special permit is actually for the disturbance of the 15% grade.
Anybody in the audience have comments or questions with regards to the application? Okay, commissioners?
That rear entrance you're talking about, that's gonna be on grade? Or is it gonna have steps to it? No steps?
No, let's see,
Walkway.
717.4 down to 717.1, and the cellar's at 717.2, no. it
So
won't be.
right now, that entry is probably 2.5 or 3 feet off up in the air? Because your pile of dirt's about that big.
Yeah, about that.
So that means you're gonna bring in fill to raise it, so that's
Here's the
actually,
proposed grade, right here, 716, gonna come
so you're
around,
actually gonna fill that, and then you're making your grade even higher.
fill that area right in there, right? Yeah.
And what about the other doorway that's been cut in up there, further down the building?
You have any plans for that doorway?
Not yet.
But if there's a
It's just
pot,
an emergency, it's just an emergency exit right now.
I see there's dirt piled up in front of that too.
Gravel, yes.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. All right. Anybody else on the commission?
That landing that you're making at the top of the stairs that goes over to the covered entrance, that's gonna be separated from the grade behind it or on top of your drawing there from, with what?
separated?
Yeah, see how you got that line where you're putting your, right,
What's that gonna be? Is that gonna be grass?
That's just gonna be grass outside of the,
and it's gonna be like a gradual slope? Because I can't see the grades.
right, correct, yeah,
That's
this
what I
is
was
very,
getting at,
it's
right?
very flat out here, that's gonna be stretched out. This
Alright.
is-
Yeah, that's what I
it's-
was looking at. I wasn't sure what the elevation is.
Yeah, it's gonna be awfully flat. You're going from 717 over here, and 716 is way over here.
Okay.
Yeah, but, plus, we have to hold a certain elevation because there's a catch basin. And we want the water to continue to make it there, and with this grading plan, it does. So that's the other part, where it's graded the way it is.
Anybody else on the commission have any questions? A motion to close the public hearing? And seconded. Craig, any comments on the motion? All in favor of closing the public hearing? All in favor, okay, thank you. Let's do that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, the next item on our agenda is 4C, PZC number 22-15, special permit, applicant owner SAN LLC, location 954 Main Street, proposal expansion of existing Shell fuel island canopy to incorporate standards and corporate standards of matching color and designs. Also includes proposal for new handicap accessible restroom addition. So, this was, as we heard earlier, this has been advertised with the other previous two public hearings. Let me just go through a couple of, this is from the assistant building official, who finds no issues. This is Mike Stankoff, no questions regarding pertaining to zoning. Fire marshal, find no issues with the site plan. Jim Rollins, November 2nd, see no comments. The police chief, no related concerns with regards to the application. So, proceed.
Again, for the record, my name is Robert Colabella. I'm a senior project engineer with Leonard Engineering. I'm here representing the applicant, SAN LLC. The applicant is here for a special permit per section 3, subsection, Roman numeral 3, subsection 3, article C, which is a special permit use. The applicant currently is seeking to, this area in blue and this area in green represent the extension of the canopies, both forward and back here. And this green area that's a 9 by 12 is where he wants to place the handicap bath. We've been to ZBA and received variances a couple months ago for impervious coverage, which is this little 3-inch strip right out here by the island, and the rear yard for the bathroom. So the reason that Asim is looking to extend the canopy in these two directions is because in the winter, he's had more than one slip and fall. None of them have become litigious to this point, but he's kind of like got this situation where people going to and from the pumps have to slush through the ice, and he gets his chances to clean it during the day, and it's not always perfect. So he's looking to stop that from happening. He's also looking to get people in and out of at least this area safely and without having to worry about most of the winter elements, because, let's face it, snow doesn't fall straight down. Sometimes it comes at a slant, and he will have some issues on the edges, but this will really help decrease the buildup that happens right here around the entrance. The handicap stall is for a separate reason. Currently, at the rear of this building, there is a cooler here and a cooler here, with a little entry door here, and there's a bathroom in this corner. Asim allows his patrons to use the bathroom. However, in order to get from point A to point B, you have to walk through his inventory, his cleaning supplies, and other items, and kind of maneuver your way to get back there. The other reason was, he has handicap accessible ramp, handicap accessible space, handicap accessible rows. Might as well have a handicap accessible bathroom to allow people to use it. So we made it large enough to accommodate that. So that's why you see it as a 9 by 12. Really, the amount of work that's going to be done on the ground out here, there's going to be 2 posts that are going to be, post hole dug or auger dug. There's not going to be a lot of work there. We know from the cards that I got from Marty that the sanitary tie-in is right about at this location. I know from Nasim that we have spigots here and we have water to this location. And we do know that the sanitary and water lines come in off of Loomis. So we're going to be able to tie right into the sanitary and the water lines without really too much disturbance. So there isn't going to be a lot of site disturbance. Most of it, this site disturbance will obviously be hidden behind the building. Currently, the fabric is being replaced on the building. It'll also be concealed like it was before, although at this point I don't know who's concealing this side or this side. But the dumpster, which currently sits here, and on occasion the dumpster guy has to sit here and wait for people that are parked over there to move. So when we went to ZBA, we told them we wanted to put a screened-in area here, so we're gonna screen it in with, and this way he can drive straight in, come out, and leave, and he doesn't have to sit there and wait in the morning for somebody to move out of the parking stall. So that is really the extent of the project. The reason that this is in blue and this is in green, when I went to ZBA, the blue area meets all the requirements, except front, rear, it was just the green area that we needed the variance for it, and the same thing in this case. That's why they're different colors, but this is the full expansion. No new signage. The canopy itself will, Shell has their hands in that because they have particular with how they want it to look. But they're not adding any signage to it. It's gonna be like-kind continuation of the canopy. There's not gonna be any new signage added to the building whatsoever. And on this end, this canopy is going to be supported by the existing columns, so there's no other groundwork being done there. The existing columns are going to be extended up a little bit, and they're architecturals that you already have that show that. So I can open the floor to any questions, public or the commission.
access to the, is the bathroom outside?
No.
Is
it's-
there
there's gonna be
an
an
access inside?
There's gonna, there will be.
Okay.
They're gonna cut a hole in the wall, and there's gonna be access from the inside only, no access from the outside.
Is there gonna be any expansion of the pumps, the fuel pumps?
Nothing.
Nothing.
And no addition of any freestanding signage. The signage that is there is what,
All staying there, just nothing's gonna change with signage, not even on the canopy. I think if you look at the canopy, it has like an orange stripe that goes around it, but that orange stripe is just gonna be continued. Other than that, there's not gonna be any new shell signs going anywhere.
So then, where the dumpster's gonna be located, that'll be fully enclosed and fenced in?
Yes.
Okay.
How high is the fencing on it?
How high is that fence, 6 feet?
Yeah.
Six.
That's where I park.
You're gonna have to walk now.
I'm gonna go under the canopy, that's gonna be easier. It'll get wet.
You can park on the canopy now, it won't get wet.
That monstrosity there.
I know.
Okay, anybody else in the commission have any questions? Anybody in the audience have any comments with regards to this application? Okay, hearing none, we could have a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
Peter, second Craig. Any comments on the motion? All in favor of the motion? Thank you.
Huh? I thought fire said you can't put the dumpster next to the building.
You said 10 feet.
He did want to.
All right, we're at number 5, PZC 22-13, special permit. Applicant Ryan Tierney, owner PB Projects 4 LLC, location 32 Lake Street, proposal special permit, brewery expansion, recreational entertainment facility, indoor private patio, and proposed deck is outdoor dining. All right. Comments on the, this is the seated 5 that we have. We'll be moving forward on this because the public hearing is closed. Do we have any comments, questions? All right. One thing I'm concerned about is we should, in my estimation, make sure patio that was described, the initial one that's, you can see that's got an area cordoned off, and then the new patio, make sure that that's in the.
Included. I agree.
Included, so that we don't have to go back and revisit this. Any other thoughts with regards to,
I think, as far as conditions, I mean, they said they're gonna replace the fencing. And they're gonna pave the complete area in the back. There is a dumpster enclosure included in the plans also. I think for conditions, we should make sure that it's in there as a condition that a 25-foot clear driveway is maintained to the rear of the building for emergency vehicles.
25 feet?
20. 20. And I think also, even though they've applied for permits, that the condition that the windows be, building be secured with windows and doors, and the roof be replaced, repaired or replaced.
For the entire building?
Yes.
Okay.
That's my opinion. But
All right. So that's been, anybody else have any comments with regards to that?
I would say the roof, again, too, like the
Yeah,
windows.
roof, windows.
Yep.
I agree. But all open items from the original approval back some years ago should be completely
Yes.
adhered to.
Yep, and that should be the conditions,
Yeah.
that's,
Those have to be
sure.
done.
All right. So I have a form that we can add to, it's just a draft. So do you want to add to this, Peter?
Yeah, I would like to.
All right, let me hand that to you.
You write all that out?
Yeah.
I was gonna let you do it, huh? Yeah.
Why don't you start with the full compliance with the original?
Okay, well, let me start reading it. Draft motion, Planning and Zoning Commission, November 14th, 2022, to approve application PZC 22-13, special permit, applicant Ryan Turney, owner, PB Projects 4 LLC, location 32 Lake Street, proposal. Special permit, brewery expansion, recreational, entertainment facility indoor, private, patio, and proposed deck as outdoor dining. In evaluating this application, the Planning and Zoning Commission has relied upon information provided by the applicant, and if such information subsequently proves to be false, deceptive, incomplete, and/or inaccurate, this permit shall be modified, suspended, or revoked. 2, this application is consistent with the town's plan of conservation and development. 3, this application meets the criteria and standards of 3J common regulations, special permits, special exceptions.
Peter, I'm sorry, when you first, does it list the plans that we have?
No.
It doesn't, all right, let's,
So I did as 4 or under 3.
yeah, let's list the plans.
Sorry about that, we'll get it for next time. Or if it's easier, I can add it after.
Pardon me?
I can edit after. if you
All
want.
right, let's just have it.
I'll leave a space there for that,
Okay.
3.
So full list of what submitted plans have been.
Okay, that'll be 4. 5?
5 would be what you were talking about with the,
Well, do you want the pre-existing ones from 2018?
yes, yes.
All pre-existing conditions from 2018 approvals
Yes,
must be completed.
yes. Let's, here's a copy of that, the June 11th. I think this is the
You
approval.
can attach that, yeah. All right, 6, 20-foot clear driveway to the rear of the building for emergency vehicles shall be maintained at all times.
It's not a fire thing.
I don't know if this thing is up. I mean, we had it on.
Did it run out of battery?
Might be out of battery.
It's okay, because I'm taking actually
You got
very
it?
good notes, and we
Right.
can refer to that,
Okay,
so
all right.
that's not a problem.
This is important?
It is, but when we go to do the minutes,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
kinda easier to have it that way as well.
Okay, well, we're recording again now, so we'll see where we were with that, but we have that.
What, did I do something wrong with it?
Not sure, but I've got it working now, so we're gonna
Well, maybe
just-
when it tipped over, it might have
Yeah.
charted off. No,
It's
that,
It's
Okay, that was number 6. Number 7, all windows and doors and roofing shall
So-
be,
I have a question on that.
Yeah.
How would that pertain to the sequencing? How would, I mean, we're dealing with phase 2 right now, which is the square part, and we're talking about the roofing and all that. How does, that being a special condition, how does that pertain to, I should say,
we're getting our head of
the
us.
how can it be a first or?
yeah, you know, are we getting ahead of
There's
ourselves?
firewall separation that goes above the roof line, so I think that if we're discussing what we have for an application now, let's stay with that. I think that's the legitimate way to do it, because they haven't finished what their plans are and, for the other phases. I mean, it's in the process of doing it, but there's been nothing before us with regards to the balance. So maybe we should leave that alone. I mean, I'd like to see the building tidied up, but
Well, I'd like to see it all done too, but I'm just trying to figure out how, you know, do we require that all at once? Or, you know, let this first project that's before us to go through?
I'd say, let's stick with the phases that we've been presented with.
So for phase 2 and 3?
Yeah.
Yes. So all built windows, doors, roofing shall be repaired, replaced.
Yes.
for phase 2 and phase 3.
For, during? I mean, we're doing windows and doors to be replaced for only phase 2 or for
2 and 3.
2 and 3? 2 and 3.
Because that's what they're proposing, the repairs of the building.
We should make something in the approval that both patios are approved for
Yeah, we should do that.
outside
Well,
dining.
let me
so
see
that
the
we
first,
don't
this
have
one
to
here.
Crisscross that at another time. Not outside dining, but for outside use for the facility.
I'll put shall be repaired or replaced. Okay, 8. 8, existing patio on Lake Street side of building
And the new.
is including for outdoor dining?
Yes, yes.
Just leave it
Or
generic,
whatever.
outside dining,
Existing?
There's an existing
patio
patio out there.
towards the parking lot on Lake Street side, ground level.
The 2018 approvals explicitly noted that that patio was always intended to host outdoor dining, but as the outdoor dining use didn't exist under the 2016 regs, which were in effect in 2018, couldn't be granted. So now, by granting outdoor dining on both the patio on Lake Street as well as the rear deck to be added in phase 2, both of those areas can be allowed for outdoor dining.
So we'll just word it, the existing patio is approved for outdoor dining?
Yes. Any other additional, John, Greg?
I think you covered most everything.
Okay, so what I've got is all pre-existing conditions from 2018 approvals must be completed. 6, 20-foot clear driveway to rear building for fire trucks shall be maintained at all times. 7, all windows, doors, and roofs for phase 2 and 3 shall be repaired or replaced. And 8, existing patio on Lake Street side approved for outdoor dining.
On Lake Street, or, yeah, on Lake Street and the rear, the new deck in the back.
And rear,
And the rear
and
deck.
rear patio.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I adjust, and rear patio.
Do we have a second for that motion? Okay, Craig seconded. Any discussion about the motion? All in favor of the motion? Unanimous. Okay. You gotta sign up for the second.
Sign, yeah, sign the second right there.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, you're gonna-
I'll sign it approved after you get done. Yep, so, I'll set. Good luck. Good luck, guys.
Okay. Do you hear that collective sigh of relief?
You starting to feel like you made that retirement now? Everybody left us, they don't like us. Hopefully Lance can read all my hand scratch, or pain. Somebody.
We'll figure it out.
We got it.
We got
Thank you
our
for doing it.
You got my number. We've both written down copies of the.
Here's the 18 approval as well.
Next.
Now they're gonna go hoist a few. That's why
They got 40 minutes.
yeah.
Start digging tomorrow, Lee. Start digging tomorrow, get it done.
Let's make this a little
Mhm.
bit, it's gonna start immediately.
Yeah, that was by the today. I just do.
Say the electrical comes up?
Yeah.
They can't start anything until we get the demolition permit, which all services have to be disconnected. So that ain't happening this year.
Eversource is slow.
All right.
I don't care.
5B is PZC 22-14, special permit owner, applicant owner, American Mural Project Incorporated, location 90 Whiting Street, proposal construction of a new concrete exterior stairway, parentheses, required grading in excess of 15% slope, end of closure, and a new concrete retaining wall at base. Also includes relocation of existing bituminous sidewalk with a new canopy covering landing area. Okay, let's see here. These papers need to have a filing system here.
Let me read that one, Tom?
Okay, sure, I don't care. Here it is.
A lot of reading tonight? Make sure I got the right one. Draft motion, Planning and Zoning Commission, November 14th, 2022, to approve application, PZC 2214, special permit, applicant owner, American Mural Project Incorporated, location 90 Whiting Street, proposal construction of a new concrete exterior stairway, required grading in excess of 15% slope, and a new concrete retaining wall at base, also including relocation of the existing bituminous sidewalk with a new canopy-covered landing area. 1, evaluating this application, Planning and Zoning Commission has relied upon information provided by the applicant, and if such information subsequently proves to be false, deceptive, incomplete, and or inaccurate, this permit shall be modified, suspended, or revoked. This application is consistent with the town's plan of conservation and development. 3, this application meets the criteria and standards of 3J Common Regulations, special permits, special exceptions.
Okay, do we have a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Craig seconded. Any discussion of the motion?
I see no problem with it.
All in favor, raise your hand, please. Okay, unanimous approval.
Yep.
She's-
Don't need mine. I'll send it your way. That's too-
George, I can, reference the plan on that one as well, for the draft.
We got it.
We got the
Yeah.
February and-
Here, we got everything. It's actually-
No, I never say it. We're not really- So, I guess we're gonna make it
Starting paperwork.
half. Mm. This would be a sticker.
Okay, the next item is 5C, PZC number 22-15, special permit applicant owner, SAN LLC, location 954 Main Street, proposal expansion of existing Shell Fuel Island canopy to corporate standards and matching color and design. Also includes proposal for new handicap accessible restroom addition, and there's a dumpster enclosure as well. We've got a draft motion.
I'll read it.
I'd often do it, but I can't write. 'cause I'm
That's no
anemic.
excuse. That's no excuse.
We should reference the plans in here too.
Okay, yeah, you got the plan number there? Should write it in.
Why don't you just put in there, you're gonna reference the.
Okay, I just put reference plan. August 2nd, 2022, the date on the plans. 2nd, 2022. Revision date. Draft motion, Planning and Zoning Commission, date November 14th, 2022, to approve application PZC 22-15, special permit, applicant owner, SAN LLC, location 954 Main Street. Proposal, expansion of the existing Shell Fuel Island canopy to corporate standards and matching roof, and matching color and design. Also includes proposal for new handicap accessible restroom addition. 1, in evaluating this application, Planning and Zoning Commission has relied upon information provided by the applicant. If such information subsequently proves to be false, deceptive, incomplete, and or inaccurate, this permit shall be modified, suspended, or revoked. 2, this application is consistent with the town's plan of conservation and development. 3, this application meets the criteria and standards of 3J common regulations, special permits, special exceptions. It is a reference to plan of August 2nd, 2022.
Okay, do we have a second for that motion? I'll second. Craig is second. Any discussion of the motion? And you've got that reference to the plans?
Plan, yes.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? All in favor of the motion? Unanimous approval?
All set.
Just us, Brian.
Next.
I'll say before we go on, can I say thank you, Brian, for giving us an hour and a half? I really
Yep.
appreciate that.
You wanted to sit here all night, Brian, didn't you?
Yeah.
Everyone was here for the shelter.
Yeah, right.
You think this is
No,
all
they were
night?
here for the brew.
You can meet him at the brewery.
You should have seen
afterwards.
wetlands 2 months ago. We didn't get out till 11:30.
You guys wanna go, right?
How you doing?
We haven't gone that late since I've been there.
No, no. Won't happen.
They're getting there.
Oh,
Getting around the table.
Not yet.
Good to see you, Brian.
Now, also, I'd like it to be on record that I asked Brian to come because I'm new and I didn't want to wreck the process by not knowing all the right questions or whatever. So I know normally you'd have an applicant just pretty much submit their plan and you looked it over in prep for a public hearing, which isn't tonight.
Right.
But I thought if Brian was willing, which he is, of course, to just address anything you had that came through your packets, we could talk about it tonight a little bit, but not a formal review, obviously. It's just a conversation.
We're here to answer any questions you have, but a little context might be helpful, so.
Okay, just introduce yourself.
Yes, please. For the record, Brian Raniello. I am representing Shelburne Hospital this evening. I'm joined by other advocates that I'll introduce later, other organizations that are involved in this effort. But let me begin with a thank you. I observed all of you this evening. I know you do this a lot, and you did it for whatever motivated you to be here, but I appreciate your public service. This we are presenting a cold weather shelter this evening. Charlotte Hungerford Hospital has in some level been involved over the years, but we're involved this time around in a very unique way. We have some vacant space, it turns out, and we were struggling finding a location in Torrington where the shelter's been located over the years during the winter months. And with this vacant space, there was a marriage. It requires your approval and some work that we are very willing to do. But let me just level set on what is our footprint up there, because there may have been some confusion since we've moved down on South Main Street where our services are. In 2013, we entered a long-term lease with the Health Center Board that took us through to 2026. We did open up services, as you know, down on South Main Street, and we maintained 14,000 square feet up on Spencer Street. Currently is really storage at this point. We have no active services. This proposal really fits with our mission up there. And we began working with the Winston Health Center Board, which is part of your packet. You'll see approval by resolution that they are with us on this. They also were required signatories for the applications that are before you. Background on the service. You may have heard this called Operation Overflow in the past. It's really, in our area, it's been around since 2003, I believe was the first year. It was largely churches that came together and volunteer-driven, but that wasn't a sustainable model, and it was a dispersed site, number of locations. And so a few years ago, Portland Human Service, Health and Human Service organizations came together, some advocates in the community, and they were each year finding a location and providing the service. Last year was operated by United Way,
walked the Old Winston Health Center, it really clicked right away that the layout, the opportunity there was perfect from the service perspective. We are talking about 6,000 square feet of the 14,000 that are there. It's essentially the long hallway, not where the ED is or the ED entrance, but the long hallway, really where starting where the cardio rehab, cardiopulmonary rehab was, straight down to the sleep lab. About 85% of that hallway is proposed for use. When we learned that the state did not require approval, that dropped all of the local building requirements as well. But we went up there with the fire marshal and with Billy Petroface. We walked it, measured it. We wanted to voluntarily make sure it worked for them as well. We walked away with 6 responsibilities that they suggested. We agreed with them all, and we will have them all complete if we receive all the approvals and open at our target date, December 1st. At the time, they did advise us what each room could hold for a cot, and we have up to 39 beds. That is consistent with the volume that we've experienced the last few years with the shelter, so that works for us. And the layout really does lend itself perfectly. From a zoning perspective, we worked with Mike and Lance, great experience for us. We have before you 2 modifications. Since we are in the gateway, one seeks a new definition. We're not comfortable with any of the existing definitions. The boarding house that came closest, but that was for compensation. That is not the case here. So we did propose some language for you. We are flexible, open to your advice. If you think that needs to be used differently. I know since we submitted, there was a suggestion maybe that there be a square footage reference. We are certainly open to that advice and amendment if that's deemed appropriate. Second is for us then to operate the shelter with a special permit application that's before you. So the first being an amendment to the gateway definition, allowing for a border house charitable, and then the second, us actually seeking that special permit for purposes of operating this program. I'm going to close with just anticipating a few questions that you may have. First, with respect to parking. There are 21 parking spaces when you first pull into Spencer Street property, that 1906, 1937 building, and you take a left. Paramedic service is still operating out of there. We'll at any given time have the paramedics vehicle and the paramedic vehicle. That since I've been up there the last few weeks, no cars are parking there. Once in a while, I'm told maybe a dock or two will park in the old ED area. But with 21 parking spaces, 4 that are handicapped, largely not used right now. We're only talking about 2 attendants overnight. And since we're serving the homeless population, most are dependent on public transportation. There may be a few other vehicles, but since it is an overnight shelter, we don't expect any problems at all. From a public safety perspective, both from a program, neighborhood, we're thinking through all the steps that we need to do, and both arrivals, departures of the residents, and how we operate a safe shelter. And we will work with the abutter both for the public hearing that's required, but also in terms of the points of contact for us going forward. And transportation, while not resolved as I sit before you this evening, great headway has been made, and we have a number of agencies, philanthropy, that will piece together our transportation plan. For questions that we anticipate at the public hearing, we'll be prepared to answer that, how people will get to and from the shelter. The last thing I had was the demographic. Quite often we get asked the question, who are you serving? There will be a number of cold weather shelters that are set up throughout the state. They exist simply because demand is so great during these months that our existing shelter system gets overwhelmed. And so these pop up for a reason, to accommodate demand. And if you've read recently, an important report came out 2-3 weeks ago, showed for the first time in 10 years Briscoe, known as the executive director of the YMCA, also agreed to run and operate the shelter. So this is a person who, in an organization that's proven itself to run great programs, we have great confidence in Greg and the YMCA to operate the program. His relationship is formed through an operational agreement with New Beginnings. Nancy, your own Nancy Canalo for Winston here is the president of New Beginnings. They are essentially the ones receiving the state funds, passing along to the YMCA to operate, and we're providing the space at Charlotte Huntington Hospital. We will also be providing some clinical services to the residents as well. Jay Case and Julie Scharnberg are also on the cold weather group here tonight. They have been enormously helpful in all the planning efforts over the years, not just this year. And we're here to answer any questions you may have, just show support.
The first question I would have, you want to get in for December 1st?
December 1st, that's correct.
So,
this is,
to jump in if I may,
Yeah,
Brian,
please.
Mr. Chair. So this this is a very rapid request that came before us. Normally, with the way we would do this would be to amend the regulations, have the public hearing on amending the regulations, then after the regulations are voted up or down, to accept applications related to any of the new regulations. The applicant has put forward these applications at the same time to both amend the regulations and to consider adding this use at the same time. So if the public hearing was to go forward on the 28th of November and was to be approved, it could begin operations afterwards. The one potential roadblock that the town staff already reached out to about was the Northwest COG, Council of Government, because the town gateway zone falls within 500 feet in parts of our neighboring towns of Barkhamsted and Colebrook. We have to notify the COG of any changes that we potentially make to the regulations.
Which has been done.
Which has been done. We have to give them up to 30 days to respond.
Which they're going to do.
Which they're going to do. As long as they respond by the next public hearing, this commission could render a decision. Were something to occur in which they had not yet responded and given us comments based on this proposed language, but the 30 days had not yet been passed, this commission would not be able, by state statute, to render a decision. But if those comments are back at that time, the public hearing can be opened as normal, and if you are satisfied at that time, you could make a decision. Now, the one thing I will note about just process here, from a process standpoint, having someone come in and talk about their discussion and what they're presenting to you, particularly in a case that is somewhat unusual, it's not necessarily out of the pale, but we do want to really minimize crosstalk here, just in terms of it could be seen as predetermination if this was to be appealed, that someone came in before a public hearing was noticed, had a long conversation with the commission about what the commission wants to see in order to approve this application, and someone took us to court on that. It could slow this down. This is, in many ways, this is a charitable operation, and they are asking the commission for help, but they also deserve the fairness of, if it's going to be voted down, it needs to be voted down. They would need to know where they can go in the meantime. We don't want it to be challenged in court because we have messed up process. So just staff recommendation to make sure that everybody is protected, is most likely to get forward as possible, should that be the commission's pleasure.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, you go first.
Well, I'm gonna ask, I think, an obvious question, Brian Craig. Does the Y operate a cold weather shelter?
We open a year-round shelter.
So is that a different category under what we're looking at? Here's what I'm getting at. Why do you need to do this through us?
The Y is existing boarding house. So the Y has, under its various uses, boarding house, which allows them to shelter people.
Okay,
So
okay.
Charlotte Hungerford Hospital is no longer a hospital. It was rezoned back in 2005 to be offices. Medical offices are not allowed to house people overnight. Hospitals are allowed to house people overnight, but they're no longer a hospital. They're not operating a boarding house for other reasons, wherein rooms would be rented, wherein you would also be covered because people can also sleep there overnight.
So once you gave up the ER here, Brian, you couldn't use
The
that?
ER was not 24 hours, nor was our sleep.
Yeah,
lab.
yeah.
Even though people slept overnight.
Yeah, yeah.
it
So
was
there's no way to
diagnostic.
crunch it into there
No,
somehow?
It was not possible.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Question I have, I mean, basically, This is an emergency shelter,
Yeah,
but it's gonna be operated 7 nights a week through the winter months. Right now, we have emergency shelters around town. And none of those have ever had to go through planning and
Exactly.
zoning. We haven't had to change our zoning regulations for those.
right.
So this is,
And none of those are places that people normally will sleep overnight or occupy overnight.
Right.
That's
So-
the firehouse, Grange Hall, senior
we,
center.
so we reached out to Torrington, so Torrington has a lot more experience in this. So the reason why this regulation was proposed the way it was because when I talked to Torrington, they said pretty much every place we've ever had those are at churches, are at municipal properties, or at boarding houses. Churches and municipal properties, it has often been accepted that it falls within the spectrum of those responsibilities to take care of the poor and unsheltered. Whereas boarding house is kind of explicitly what this is, just in a short term. And so, as this is not a church or a municipal building,
But it's really an emergency
but it-
shelter.
but it
Basically,
is
it's
on-
not a boarding house.
Yeah.
It doesn't
it's a-
definition of a boarding
right.
house, it's an
And
emergency shelter.
it is owned by a nonprofit corporation, the foundation, and you still have, Charlotte Hungerford still has a presence there through a lease? I mean, why are you, yeah, so the two nonprofit, I'm just kind of with Peter about.
Well, that's
why
why I'm
can't-
bringing
why-
that up,
why
because
can't you
I've
do
been
it without all
involved in
this?
developing emergency
This
shelters
seems like
with
it
Steve
seems like a
Williams'
lot to have to
emergency
go
management
through.
director.
right now, there would have to be a use under the uses that exist in our regulations.
But
that-
how is this happening elsewhere in town? I mean, I'm aware
Well,
of
they're
other
municipal
shelters.
buildings or
I
considered
see.
buildings
They're
or
temporary
churches.
for disasters.
Yeah, I get it, but a church is just a nonprofit, just like this operation is, so
But
why
a
can't
church,
they just
a
slide
church
in there
is
and do it?
just a nonprofit in nonprofit speak, but in zoning, a church is a worship house.
Yes.
This is not a worship house.
Correct.
So again, I really did tear into the regulations
To
to
try to
find a
find
way.
a way
Are
to
there
do it.
We need to put a church in the hospital.
Are there any regulations? And if they were proposing a worship house, they would be here for that too. I really did try to find a way that we could do it under
I
existing
know,
zoning,
just
but
get it done. It's temporary, right? It said,
It's during
cold
summer.
weather.
That's correct. Our lease actually takes us through May 15th.
Yeah, so is there any exception, I mean, you're saying you looked at everything, but,
temporary under zoning, so these are good questions for just talking about how zoning. Temporary is a weird thing. Some people, if you ask what's temporary, they'll say if it's up for more than 24 hours, it's permanent. They'll require, some people under definitions of temporary will say if it's operational the majority of the week, it's not temporary no matter how long it goes on for. There isn't a good definition of temporary in our regs, and temporary, depending upon what regulations you go to, whether it's building or fire or anything else, does change. If we define temporary in our regs in a future revision, then we could do it, but we don't have one
how about,
so far.
what do we define as emergency?
We don't.
We don't.
Not in our regs.
So we don't even do
Not by
that.
zoning.
Yeah, it's not in the regs.
Yeah.
No.
Uh-huh. So, I mean, this just seems
But if
like
this had been a
a
hospital,
big hurdle to have.
if this had been a hospital already,
Yeah.
or and not stopped being a hospital, this would be fine because hospitals can keep people overnight, and then sheltering people overnight is part of what hospital does. So it's a bit of a kerfuffle.
So the fact that they have a lease there doesn't give them any kind of umbrella.
Makes
or
it
opening.
easier for them to get through all the other paperwork.
Yeah. See, Brian, I told you you shouldn't have given up. Shouldn't have given up. Oh,
Glad you did.
come on, this has gotta be an easy way to do this.
I really did try.
Again, not formal, and I probably shouldn't be saying it until the next 2 weeks if that is the day. We did entertain having the selectmen just do an executive order.
But such
This
a
is,
thing
to be honest, this is the right way to go about it.
does it.
This is?
This is.
Having the selectmen do an emergency declaration doesn't end run around zoning, which is supposed to be all land use. If we have someone complain that there's a use going on while this is happening, I'm gonna have to investigate. If it wasn't permitted through this, I would have to submit a report to the board which says your regs have been broken and the Board of Selectmen did it. And that would be something we really want to avoid. So this is the best way that allows this property to be used as this in future years should it need to be. It covers everybody now. This is the best way I've come up with.
Well,
It's
but
just a time problem.
well, yeah, this is,
Yeah, 'cause
but
it's
it
gonna take a
sounds like
month
you're
at
already
least.
covering some of the time issues. But this is the situation is, once it's in the regulations, too.
Yes. Which off the record, I'm gonna say is appropriate for the town gateway zone. So.
It's what?
It is appropriate.
Oh, it's an appropriate
Yeah.
location, yes.
All right, well,
Can't just say
let's.
I got a
We're at a
question.
meeting.
Okay, go ahead.
Has any
I'll say
thought
it
been
again.
used to utilizing the kitchen for this? For like to help the
You're not serving food, you're taking on.
cafeteria, I worked there
charging
for
food.
many years at the hospital, so you have a facility for
Yeah.
feeding people too, so.
I don't know what that kitchen looks like these days.
Okay.
Our 14,000 square feet has a sink, a refrigerator.
Yeah, it doesn't include the kitchen.
microwave,
Okay.
But there's no.
But if you go to the upper two floors.
That's in another section of the building where the
But
kitchen was.
this use is being confined just to the
Only
first
to the
floor.
bottom floor.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay.
Veterinary Health District did come through, and the only thing is requiring a conversation with the primary deliverer of food, which would be the Torrington Soup Kitchen.
Okay.
And
The open door.
Open door.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Troy, what were you thinking? There was some,
Well, I used to work there as a big
Food?
kitchen.
well, no, I know, but I mean, that's not gonna help in terms of the zoning part.
People gotta eat and sleep, so,
All right,
right?
we can talk
Make it
about
one
this,
facility.
this is inappropriate.
I also have one other question.
So,
Go ahead, Troy.
One other question.
Go ahead.
Is it gonna be drug and alcohol free to sleep there?
there will be no drug or alcohol permitted. Maybe Greg, why don't you answer this question?
Sure. So, when folks check in 5:30, when we plan to check them in, so, at that time, we do COVID screening, and then, we go through all their belongings. If there's some reason why they don't want us to go through their belongings, and we put those into, we have a secure closet. We'll say, okay, we'll lock them up, you'll get them when you leave. So there'll be no alcohol in there. And if a drug is found, then we will call the police. We'll deal with it that way, so it's gonna be free. The plan also is to have them be able to do a smoke break hourly, just outside the building, supervised. So we're not gonna go off and do anything.
Well, this is details that should come in the public
So,
hearing.
so that last one in particular, Mr. Chair, is absolutely correct. That should be reiterated at the public hearing, definitely.
Yep,
That
that's time for
question from
discussion
you.
then.
So at that point.
All right, well, thank you.
I just have one more thing, Brian. So you have these cold weather shelters in Torrington also, but,
This year.
Not this year.
oh,
That's
so
why they-
because
That's
of
why
that
it's here.
space you couldn't use anymore at St. Mary's?
That's correct.
Right, I see. Wow.
Okay.
So that avoids discussion of details as much as possible.
Okay, under 6, new business, PZC 22-16, zoning regulation change, applicant Charlotte Hungerford Hospital, owner Winston Health Center Incorporated, location 115 Spencer Street. Proposal amend Winchester zoning regulations to create a new defined use entitled boarding house charitable and add boarding house charitable to the uses allowed by special permit in the town gateways zone district under 2.d.a.2, which is boarding house charitable is a building other than a hotel where lodging or rooms or both are provided as a public service on a short-term temporary basis for unhoused individuals and families. So we need a motion to create a public hearing on November 28th.
I'll make that motion.
Seconded by Craig. Any comments or discussion of the motion?
Oh, I can't do that now?
No, you're an alternate. You can all talk at the public hearing.
Okay, all in favor of the motion? Unanimous. Second, number 6B is PZC number 22-17, special permit. Applicant Charlotte Hungerford Hospital, owner Winston Health Center Incorporated, location 115 Spencer Street. Proposal request approval of new use, namely boarding house dash charitable for purpose of operating an overnight shelter for unhoused individuals and families. So we need a motion to schedule a public hearing on the 28th of November.
So move. I'll second.
And motion and seconded. Any discussion of the motion? All in favor of the motion? Unanimous. So we'll put that on for the 28th. And we'll move forward with that.
hope you will be the only public hearing, so we can not be 2 hours. But thank you again.
You schedule stuff, don't schedule
Yeah, I
anything
could,
else.
I could do that. We could do that, couldn't we?
Yes, you can. Because you can put the other ones in December.
All right, well, thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
number 7, other business, do we have anything to discuss?
Letters from Townsend, 334 Mountain. Do you have those letters?
Did we give that to them? No. Did you
Yeah,
get?
we have the letters, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're down under communications.
Jim
Yeah.
Townsend. Yeah, so,
We'll do down here.
yeah, I
So,
can,
no, we're in here right now.
oh, other business,
Yeah.
sorry, apologies. Can't count. I do
So
something.
we have nothing under 7?
Nothing other
Okay.
business, no?
So we've got the minutes of October 24th, which,
I didn't have them in my packet.
They weren't in my packet.
Hey, Lance?
Wasn't in mine.
I didn't
I
have
saw
the,
them
No minutes.
I didn't have
Oh,
the minutes
no,
in
we
the
forgot?
packet.
I'm sorry. All right, well,
just add those to the
Do it for
November
next
meeting.
time.
Next
if you
meeting.
could.
okay.
Communications under 9, Attorney James Townsend, RE 34 Mountain Avenue.
Right, so I can speak about this one, Mr. Chair, if you'd like. So 34 Mountain Ave, this is a boundary dispute that has also become a zoning violation. So we have 2 adjoining properties, 30 and 34, where the owner of 30 has erected a shed without a zoning permit. I sent him a letter informing him that sheds need zoning permits, so he needs to come in with a copy of the survey, state where he's locating the shed. I can approve him if it falls within the regs. He submitted such a survey. He didn't have the structures on it, but he espoused that it was 5 feet from his boundary lines as called for by the regulations. But the adjoining property owner submitted a more recent survey, a more extensive survey, that showed that the existing shed is located 5 feet over the boundary line and is located on the boundary line. So I have a more recent, more accurate survey which calls into question what Mr. Vitale, the owner of 30 Mountain Ave, submitted to me. I've informed him of this on the phone. I spoke with him. I told him he needs to come down and look at this and explain what's going on. He said he would, and then I didn't see him for a week. I called him again, I believe last Thursday afternoon, and told him on the phone that he needs to submit something to us or fix the shed's location to come into compliance, or we'll have to move forward with some sort of a citation or move to court. Normally, I give more time for the non-compliant to come into compliance on these matters, but this is one where we have an active boundary dispute. I have a survey which shows where the structure is without a doubt, as opposed to oftentimes we wind up waiting on surveys for 2 or 3 months because of how busy surveyors are. And I have informed the individual of exactly what needs to be done. So I didn't hear anything by last Friday. If I don't hear anything by the end of the week, I'm going to give it to our attorney to act on there. I'm hoping that the property owner is watching tonight and will hear this and will contact me tomorrow morning.
Okay, all right, good.
Very good.
Nick? And Kevin Nelligan's letter.
Yes, Mr. Bishant. So this is a old one. This one started long before me. This
4 years
was
ago.
this is actually the original tree clearing for this began in 2015. So this is a parcel. This is a 60 to 65 acre parcel on Torringford Street, located in around the 260s, just south of Stadler Heights for the area. This lot was purchased and has been cleared of the majority of its vegetation. There was a significant amount of earthwork which was done here. In 2018, when Steve Sadlowski was still town planner, the operator who has now purchased the property from the former owner came in here and got permits from wetlands, and I believe planning and zoning to do some work, at least wetlands. I don't remember. There's a lot of these files. There are a huge number of these files. There has been a continuation of activities on the lot that were not covered by the wetlands permit, and so we informed Mr. Bachand of this last year. And he contacted his surveyor to get the survey updated. I told him we need to know what all the topography is because we need to know what the earth movement is. We need his proposed buildings. We need the pond reshod because he expanded the pond, made it about 2 acres. So there's been a significant amount of movement. And this went back and forth for a while where the surveyor became very busy, and as we expect, surveys take a while, but it's just gone on. We have reports of the property owner has continued to do work on the property. He had signs up until very recently. He just took those down that he never had permission to have. So I had requested that Kevin Elligan begin the lawsuit because we've given him nothing but time and goodwill, and he hadn't complied with us at all. Sure. He actually fortuitously came in the week I sent that letter to Kevin Nelligan to begin complying. So what we have right now is a letter that lists all of the problems that need to be corrected. I have confirmed with the surveyor as of Thursday that certain things have been reshot and are currently in CAD drafting, such that there should be a wetlands application forthcoming for December. And that if it is not, and if any degree of variation from what is allowed happens, we're gonna proceed with the lawsuit. That's where we are on that one.
Now, is he still looking at doing earth excavation, because he's removing a lot of material?
He has removed an enormous amount of material.
And never had a permit.
Yep. So that's gonna be one of the things that has to be discussed because there will need to be a planning and zoning permit here. The property owner wants to put a house on the property. He wants to become a farm and do farming. That's a use which he'll need to get through me for, as farming is allowed by zoning permit. But there are several structures that he intends to put up. The earth excavation use does need to be permitted retroactively, and any problems that the commission believes need to be remedied need to be taken care of now before he can move forward. It will take a while to clean up, but
How big a piece is this?
this is 65 acres. This is really just a more developed situation, similar to the North Main Street property, which I believe you've seen in my reports previously. That's about 20 acres. This is really just what would happen at that property if we hadn't stopped him as early as we had. This happens, but we're gonna.
On the rear of this property is the high-pressure gas line that runs all the way to Torrington too, and I know there were some issues there where he got into trouble with the gas company.
That exists, from what we can tell from the aerials, that hasn't been disturbed in at least 3 years.
No, I think they stopped him.
Yeah.
What they did.
And so all of his work occurs roadside of that, which is good. But there's a lot to get right with this. I've seen the work of surveyor before. I'm hopeful that he's gonna come in with something good. But we have this ready to go, should he not.
No, that's good. Good to see it.
I should have done it sooner, honestly,
Well,
but I
takes
tried
time.
to give.
Kicking around, I've
This
been
has
on the
been-
board for 15 years.
This has been, like I say,
This has been kicking around for years.
we've complained about it for years and years, and we're still here.
Well, looks like you're making some progress.
Making good headway. Thank you.
Okay, you got your, next item is your November 10th report.
Yes. So this was, I got rid of all my forthcoming enforcement to make it a little shorter. Not that I'm not going to do it, just if I'm reprinting it twice a month, I'll just tell you what the updates are. I suppose, what do you want to know? You've been getting these from me for the better part of 8 months. As sometimes things close, a lot of these things stay on here. What can I tell you about? What can I do for you?
I think this is kind of what we're looking, we did have good enforcement here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
Long
it's,
time.
this gives us the information, we know what's being done, so.
Well, I think
Appreciate
it'll
that.
help, it'll help people make applications if they know things are going on and being inspected. What we've had before is, depending on what your name is and who you are, some things just never got looked at. And so to have some consistency and fairness, that's what we're looking to accomplish. So if you're taking care of that, you're letting us know about it, and you're making progress, how much can we ask for?
Zoning's not a fast process. As people see when they come before you, asking for zoning legally is not a fast process. Enforcing zoning is also not a fast process. I have always been of the mind that if you go too quickly to the hammer, everybody just hides and nobody wants to comply at all. They're too afraid to do anything, and we do want to encourage people to do stuff with the residential property. They just got to locate their fences and sheds properly. The biggest problem I run into for a lot of people who just want to do something innocuous is we don't have good surveys. We really don't. If we had a good catalog of surveys of most residential properties, I think a lot of people's problems would go away because they'd just be readily available. You could find out where your boundary line is. We go from there. But we're working with limited resources in that department. Some of these are really complicated. So there were a couple that I was turned on to by the commission about, for example, people parking cars on what are not driveways. So in a lot of our districts in town, you're only allowed to park in designated parking zones. Well, normally if you have an ongoing violation, it slap a lien on your property. And that works if you, for example, put up a house and you've got an infringement on your neighbor's property or two of your boundary lines. That one's easy because the house isn't going anywhere. It gets complicated with a car because if I was asked to go into the court and say, do you know that that car was always breaking those regulations on every day, and thus the $100 fine you're asking for, on each day actually happened? I would say no, unless I actually drove by every day and got a picture of it, and that hasn't happened. Our other mechanism to kind of collect on that is for me to send citations. But citations are a lot less efficient than going to the municipal court in a civil court, because when we go to court, we can put together our lawsuit of, here's what we know you're breaking, here are the punitive damages we know, because this is when it started, this is how long it's gone on. Citations are a one-time deal. It's like getting a ticket from the police. But citations for municipal officers are actually enforced via citation hearing board. So I give people a month to pay. If they don't pay, I have to call a hearing for a board. None of the members of that board can be police officers. We have to let the public know. We have to let the individual know we're going to have it, give them a chance to show up and argue their case. And if they lose before the citation hearing board, they can appeal to Superior Court. So that's the way our ordinance is set up on that. It is a fair way to do it, but it is
cumbersome.
It is cumbersome. It is cumbersome, and as far as I understand right now, we don't have a full citation hearing board, so getting that meeting together can also be difficult. So in situations like that, where I have these on the record of people are still parking where they're not supposed to be, I've been struggling a little bit on what my best enforcement mechanism is going forward, particularly when people just completely ignore me. I've sent people letters and say, you can't park there, and then they apologize and fix it. I've also sent people letters that you can't park there, and they've ignored me the whole time, and I really don't know where to go.
So this board, that's set up by the selectmen?
I believe it is set up by the selectmen. I've spoken with the town manager about it once or twice. I imagine it's low priority insofar as we don't have a lot of citations.
So if we write a letter from our planning commission and say these are some issues that we have on our regulations, this is a missing part of this process. How can you help us and put something together and increase the relevance of the whole thing?
Sure, I can do that.
Is that agreeable?
I think something's gotta be done to.
Because otherwise,
try to help
we're
you
wasting our
Yeah,
time.
there's obviously gaps in our enforcement.
Yeah, so let's just clean up
process
the
here.
act a little bit.
Let's
that's
see
all.
if
It happens in every town, and if he doesn't have the backing to back him up, then it's a waste of time.
Waste of time.
Yeah.
The other big thing with these that I've run into a lot, we've been trying to get the earth excavation permits, right? You'll be happy to know that one of the big ones, 112 Standard Ave, the former KJ Fracasso property, that one is complete. That application is done. They are presenting to wetlands on Wednesday. So they're going forward. The Canavo property, where they have their gravel operation, Surveyor Tim Wiley expects that all of his stuff is finally done by December. It's been a long time in coming, but there I expect they'll be through by the end of the winter. So those are the big ones that we're outlining, and we expect those to be through. But the biggest problem I run into a lot, other than people who just don't know, and people who just ignore my letters, really is we have a couple places in the zoning regs where we have things that are really unclear, and so it makes it difficult for me to guide people, and also difficult for me to enforce. So there are a couple of things that I would like to bring to the commission at a future point.
That's why we have a subcommittee.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we've got the three.
That was a
person
great
subcommittee.
discussion.
If you give it to Lance or come to one of our
Yeah.
meetings.
Yeah, I'm happy to keep going to those.
Give us that information, so we
because
can do
there
something with
are
it.
just a
and do
couple
them all at
areas,
once.
particularly related to things like steep slopes, where I think the regs are really well intentioned, but there's a vagueness in them that makes it hard to enforce and really onerous for people who are trying to do what should be normal things.
We've got a lot of steep slopes in this community.
We do.
And we're not addressed, we had that hearing, that we went through, and we talked about the need for, bonding and so forth to protect. And, so that's, you're working on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lance got us some steep slope regulations from some other towns.
Okay.
Winstead's a town of hills and streams, right? We're gonna have wetlands and steep slopes pretty much everywhere.
Everywhere.
And we have that beautiful map on the wall in the land use office. You can see, wow, the whole thing's orange or blue, for steep slopes and rivers. So I think, I'm really excited to see some tighter ones on that will keep protecting the natural resources.
Yeah, any information you can give us of what we should be doing and
That I
it
can
up for us, it would help a lot.
Yeah.
I'll keep doing these monthly, make sure
Good.
that you always have these. We're a little bit, it's November now, which means develop has slowed down enough that I can consistently get these out and make sure that you have updates.
I'll be much appreciated.
Of course.
Okay.
I don't know. You'll shut me down right away if this isn't an appropriate thing to ask. Promise?
No.
You know, what about that end section on Meadow Street? When does it become a danger to let that thing sit there with that roof like that and all of that?
So, I can't speak to the danger of a structure. That's something that a building official could do. I have a vague recollection that Jim Koppler, building official in Barkhamsted, who was assisting us before Bill Petroface was hired full-time, he had made some determination about the roof, but I don't know which section of the roof. Clearly, that roof needs to be replaced badly. Understatement, yes.
Left to it.
I don't know anything about, excuse me, I don't know anything about the pillars. I don't know anything about structural integrity. I can ask the building official. I'm already gonna
It's
ask
not
him
even
follow up.
fenced off.
It's not, no. It's not secure.
I mean, that's,
If the
isn't that a attractive, I mean, it is an attractive nuisance. And it's dangerous. I
The
mean,
building official could absolutely put up, demand that entire area be
All right.
sequestered. That's within his
do
power.
something,
I could,
please.
in my taking off my zoning hat and putting on my blight hat,
my God,
as
yes.
blight officer, I could blight this building. Specifically, that section there is very bad.
But it's
place-
owned by the town,
But the
correct?
land is owned by the, well,
That land is owned by the town.
land is owned by the town.
Right.
The building is owned by Parker Benjamin.
Right.
Right now, if Parker Benjamin doesn't fix it and walks away from their lease, I don't know if it's clear what happens to the building, because I haven't gone over the lease, that section of the lease with Carmody Law, who were the people who helped us draw up all the environmental parts of the lease. I haven't gone over what happens. If they were to say, we're leaving, we're walking away, I don't know if I've then blighted ourselves, and I don't know what that causes. So, working with the applicant to get them in a position to fix the whole thing has been the town's prevailing strategy up to this point. Clearly, COVID slowed everything down. I can't speak to how long
All
it's
right.
taken.
If somebody gets hurt there, though.
Yeah, I mean,
trial.
Charlene's right, because now you're going into phase 2 and phase 3. Phase 3 is the axe throw, and there's gonna be a lot of people walking right where that building's
I
falling
mean,
down.
it's just.
It needs to be
I
fenced
can't
off.
believe that the town
It
has.
needs to be
Secured.
secluded until it's
Just
remodeled.
Put a fence around it or
I have an
something.
issue that, you know,
Because
we
me and
had,
her
we had
couldn't talk.
person
so-
owns Capital Products, and I know the town has busted them about taking windows out and making sure the building was secure.
Yeah.
And closed in.
Yeah.
And then we have 10 Bridge Street with windows broken out of it that nothing's done.
Yeah.
And
I
then
mean, it's-
another building that's been 5 years with no windows and a roof falling in.
Yeah, it's,
And I'm sorry.
and
it
that's
sucks,
a real
plain
big
English.
danger,
No, that's
right?
fair.
You know, I mean, we're either gonna
Be consistent as well.
treat everybody the same,
Yeah,
or
just-
Well, that's the way we have
and
to
that's
be.
why I brought the
See, there's
conditions I
different
was putting on
circumstances
them.
with the ownership of the building.
Well, that's what
That's-
you started off
that's-
saying, that was a
yeah.
condition, go all the way, and then it ended, so.
Well, that's
but-
what I wanted.
Yeah, I got it, I heard you.
So securing a building.
I hope they heard me.
As far as I understand, a building being deemed unsafe and need to be secured is a building department thing.
Yes.
So tomorrow, I will talk to Bill Petroface, and I don't know, as an assistant building official, until he passes his exam, which is scheduled for February, I don't know, we're saying when, he's very smart. I don't know if we have to wait for Jim Clark, who is a full building official, to make that determination, but I will find out. And I
Send
will-
them down tomorrow.
I will ask him to look at. I mean, I know people have looked
You
at it.
don't
And I
need
know
him in
Jim
the offer
Koppler's
for
looked
anything.
at it.
You don't need
It
them.
smells like gas.
It's very fair. This is town-owned land. If people get hurt on
Oh
it,
my
it opens
God.
the town up to
I can't believe it hasn't happened already.
We don't
Alright.
want people to get hurt, so that's a
Before,
fair
it
question.
wasn't, people weren't wandering in that, in general vicinity.
Well,
But they will
I mean,
be now.
people wander up and down Meadow Street,
Well,
I
and,
mean,
you know, how many homeless are we dealing with in town, really? I mean,
Based
there's a
on
huge population of that.
the last report that the social services director Katie Vale gave us,
I saw that.
20 to 30.
Yeah, and I mean, here's a wide open building that they could be in,
And it's not safe.
you know?
It
I mean,
may not be safe. I can't say
No,
it's
but-
not safe. I'm not qualified to make that
Here's-
determination. It
There's a
doesn't
population
look
that would frequent a place like
good.
that at night or something like that,
potentially. Yeah.
because it's wide open.
now, maybe this is the one you'll tell me I shouldn't be bringing up now. But, I don't know who proposed that language for this, the proposed amendment to the thing, but why is it boarding house instead of emergency shelter?
So this is language, so the language in our regs for boarding house is very similar to this. The language was tweaked very slightly to be boarding house charitable with the intention of keeping it as close to existing language as possible, such that, particularly because there wasn't, I don't think, a full legal land use team on this to propose language and research other communities, the goal being to create a narrow use that fulfills this goal.
Well, isn't emergency shelter narrower than boarding house charitable?
Potentially, I can't speak to that. I don't know. That really does come down, I think, to people's analysis of the words.
Well, you know I'm a lawyer, so it's not really that, I mean, there's case law on this, I'm sure, but the point is, I thought it strange after I heard what his description of it was, that it's that wording instead of emergency shelter, which is a term of art, there is a definition for it in Connecticut. There are emergency shelters.
But there isn't,
But in
in
that-
our existing regs.
That may be something that needed to be added to our regs.
Absolutely.
Well,
As a
I'm wondering,
definition.
you know, if boarding house charitable is a broader thing, what door that opens that we are not aware
Well,
of.
and it's for the zone.
It's for the zone and it's only allowed via special permit. So it's not like it's anything that
I know,
I'll
but,
be able to approve.
yeah, but that's not necessarily what this commission wants, more abilities to do special permits. If we wanna have emergency shelters for cold weather sheltering, why don't we just do that? Instead of this kind of open-ended thing that could invite who knows what. Anyway, my two cents.
But would that bring them in every year to reapply, or
No,
would it
not
be?
if emergency shelters are
'Cause if it's in
permitted.
the regs and
Yeah.
we approve that, they wouldn't have to do anything
Oh, but
again.
if we can put that as part of the description, that
I think that's,
it's for a certain period.
I mean, and they're
In the
trying to do
zoning?
it in the next 3
I don't
weeks.
see why not.
2 weeks.
So
If
So
they,
if they come
if
with a
they
zone, put that as a
had
condition of the
come
special
in
permit when we
July
We can
for
change
this,
the-
That it's
then we
it's
might
only
have
good
chance
from
to do
November
a
first,
more
say, till
comprehensive
April
review.
first.
You're right.
And that's
It's
it.
not our
That's
problem.
it. That's,
Right.
and then if they
Okay.
wanna do it the
So
next
the
year, they
COG
gotta
has
come
to go to
to
the
us for
COG,
another
we'll see
special
what the
permit.
COG says
It's
about
for
the
that
language.
short time period.
as well.
There's no reason we
COG
can't
has
put
to
that
review
in
the
as a
language.
condition of
No,
approval.
I understand, but it should come from us first.
It could be.
shelter from December
This
1st.
broad thing
April
versus a
1st,
narrower
and
thing,
then
so.
they can run it that way.
Yeah.
And
That-
that be a
that would
special
be
permit.
fine.
Part of the description in the zoning
And
regulations.
they're good at
As long
that,
as we can change.
by the way,
Why
making
not?
it this big when it need only be this big.
I think that's a valid thing to
Close
be
to
talking
Mhm.
about.
There could definitely be
Do we have to use their language? Can we
As
just
they
give them what
proposed
they
it.
want by doing something,
As long as we're accomplishing what they're.
some
trying
other
to get.
wording
As
for?
long as it meets the need. the use?
Let me, because it's a proposed change in the zone, I gotta see if the zoning board proposes alternate language which is accepted. I would want to look at that statute that says we have to send it to the COG.
To the COG, right.
I would want to look at that before I give you an answer of process about that. 'cause-
Like Will was saying, there, we may wanna put as part of that a certain time frame.
Absolutely, and that can be a condition.
And it can only be used from November 1st till April 1st or
Right.
whatever.
We did discuss that.
Because
As part of the regulation.
Because I presume boarding house has some sort of legal term of, legal definition in Connecticut under case law or something. And I don't know what it is, but if we're saying yes to that, we don't know what it is, that's not a smart thing to do.
Correct.
Boarding houses do have a specific definition of
I'm
building
sure.
code,
Yep.
as a specific type of occupancy,
Mhm.
fire code, the field official and fire marshal showed that to me, where it falls, it's, I think it's an R1, but I can't remember precisely. So, those are some valid concerns. Having emergency shelter be in the regs under a more permanent, expanded, special regulations for emergency shelters in the future could be very good for the next regular revision of the regs.
I mean, if Lance, if you can find something for us for the subcommittee for our next meeting,
Yeah.
Another thing we can consider. as
Are
part
you
of
meeting before this
No,
thing is
we don't meet
considered?
till
No.
December.
Yeah, it'll be Thanksgiving messed it up.
So how are we gonna address this before they come in again?
You
So-
know?
So this is gonna get adopted like this?
Or we write our own language.
Or you create several conditions which make the use functionally what you want it to be, and then don't grant the use to other people without similar conditions until
Well, if-
such time
yeah,
as
if
alternate
we
regs be
decide-
adopted.
Do granted approval or something, there's gonna have to be conditions added.
Absolutely.
When we do that, definitely.
Yeah.
So boarding house is something that can be used year round. The intent of this is for winter. So I really think we need to do our own thing on this.
Well, yeah, there's gonna have to be conditions for a certain time period.
Time frame,
All right,
And
well,
that if they.
If we have to have a special meeting for
If
just
they
this,
do
then let's do that.
Year, they come back and ask again next year.
Right.
Okay, all right.
I would recommend against scheduling a special meeting early, though. Like, if there needed to be additional discussion, the commission wasn't happy after the upcoming meeting on the 28th. Any special meetings that were scheduled, you'd want to do it after, not to try to squeeze in something.
That's what I'm
before.
saying, if we
Yeah.
needed to get into something different.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Good discussion. Okay,
Report?
yeah.
It's only gonna take me about 3 or more hours. We're good. Very simple.
Thank you, Lance.
don't threaten
See you
us.
later, right? I'm 5 minutes from home.
Don't threaten us, Lance.
So we moved to online permitting. It's been 2 weeks now. Well, today is a week now.
It is a week.
A few glitches on the first day, but it's actually going pretty smoothly, and a lot of people are taking advantage of it. We've only had a few people come in and use the terminal on the desk, but
Yeah.
most people are doing it from their own computers. So today we actually had our last meeting with OpenGov, who's the consultants that have been working with us. And so we pitched all the things that happened this past week for them to fix. And so we'll go from there. We do have another meeting coming up with, we'll have a specific person from their group, not a team any longer. And I just got on for the first time today. I was having some technical issues, unfortunately. I was also going to say I want to just mention, I've already started looking into some of your previous approval conditions, and this is probably something I'm going to be working more with Michael on to try to address. So anything
We
that
do
came up.
this, thank you for putting the draft together for us.
Yeah, that makes
And
it a lot easier
if
for
we
us.
can list the documents that are associated with it that we deal with, that just saves the time when we get here.
I just had a question for Lance
You
when
go
you're
ahead.
done.
Yeah.
On the online permitting, are you still in the development stage on that? Or is it
Yeah, we're
carved in
live,
stone?
so now we're just kind of like, well, this is not working, so now we got to fix it either through the consultants or. Actually, I got to give Pam credit. She's really finding those little things that are kind of weird and raising the questions with our reps to get it fixed in time.
Because I've asked
so.
a couple times, I don't know if it got put in or not. the water level committee was requesting that when inland wetlands permits are done for wall work and stuff at the lake, that there'd be a line in of how much, what depth that they needed for drawdown. So that way, if a deep drawdown was scheduled and nobody needed to go that deep, that we didn't have to do that.
Yeah, we can add that, that's easy.
Yeah, definitely.
If,
Yeah,
we're going 8 feet, 7 feet, and we only need 5, why go the extra depth?
Sure, good point.
Adding that kind of language is not difficult. The back end of the online permitting is pretty robust and it's not hard to use either. So it's really, we're hoping it's gonna do good things for making it easier for everyone to get access to permits, both pulling them and then for us to review them. I can do that. I can do that in 5 minutes tomorrow.
So what's the difference between lodging? This definition says lodging or rooms or both are provided. So that means it's a different definition, lodging or rooms or both.
That is exactly as it's written in our zoning regs right now. Statement lodging
Oh,
or
we
rooms or
have
both.
we have a
Boarding house, so that is the thing, is boarding house.
Okay,
yeah.
but this isn't a boarding house, this is an emergency shelter.
It is.
Cold weather shelter. There's something I don't know here, and it's not sitting right. Why did they suggest that language, or did you suggest that language?
I noted that this language that has been, so I noted that the uses in Torrington that have been used in the past, which were not churches or municipal properties for boarding houses, I gave them our language for
Okay.
boarding houses.
Okay,
And they said, we don't wanna go in as a boarding house because
Right.
boarding houses are explicitly for
that's right.
money,
Yeah.
which is not what we're trying
Okay,
to do.
so I see what happened, this amalgamation, but it should have gone right to, because it even says in their thing, it says emergency shelter. Overnight shelter, and one of their other other statements here says, we provide emergency shelter, so why isn't it just defined that way?
If I was,
Okay.
yeah, if I was to guess, it's just they didn't have time to invent the language from scratch.
Yeah.
And so use the language that I provided as this is what we
Okay.
have
All right,
to make their new use.
okay.
And just a suggestion, maybe staff should reach out to St. Mary's and find out why they're not doing it again.
I'll add it to the list.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there, but.
I know, it's weird that there isn't anything in Torrington, that's a big
I
town.
worked in Torrington for 12 years, I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, well, but Troy, that's a big town, and,
It is,
we're
but
not a big town,
but
so,
this is a Northwest Quarter thing, so
I get it.
But they've also got a big staff.
Yeah,
we got two.
I do just,
Right.
I do just wanna caution everybody, and I am being overly cautious, but when we do have these discussions, because the public hearing hasn't opened yet, we do not want to be reaching out to anyone.
No.
We do not want to be meeting with anyone, and we want to be keeping our discussions exclusively to as it pertains to zoning, which is what I tried to do here, so that way we don't get called on.
It has to be generalized zoning, not
Right.
a certain application.
the problem is that this is coming in so quickly and looking to be approved so quick. Usually if a commission is considering regulation, which is law change, it's a legal change, it's an ordinance change. There's an awful lot of research and thought and analysis and then review that goes into that. It's the law, it becomes the law. So this one's kind of going in as somebody wrote it on a napkin and now it's in here as a proposed
Right,
ordinance.
we need to look at all angles and things, even though they wanna rush it, this is gonna
It
be a
is-
long-term thing, so.
It is not this commission's fault as much as this commission may want to and feel the need to move quickly on this because the applicant is attempting to do something good for the community. It is not this commission's fault that the application did not come in until just now.
Right.
Their emergency does not necessarily make it your emergency as
Exactly.
much as this body wants
But
to
we've
do
just
the right
committed
thing.
to do it, or
You've
what you
committed
had.
to
Set up
open the
Yeah.
public hearing, but you do not have to resolve on it. And I think there are some valid concerns about the speed at which a zoning regulation is attempting to be changed here. But we did attempt to get them in as fast as possible
If we do
to
it
initiate
this
the
time,
conversation.
Yeah.
There'll be more coming in the future that want the zone
They could.
Regulations change.
In
You
2
can expect
weeks.
to have them done in a month.
Right, in 2 weeks.
Scary.
You know?
Yeah.
That
We
can
as
happen
staff-
A year down the road, whatever.
As staff,
6
we
months,
wanted
yeah.
always
Yeah,
help the
yeah.
public get
Of
things in
course.
as fast as possible, but that doesn't mean that you have to do that.
No, and that's where some of the difficulty in the early
Right,
zoning regulations that we had, there were changes made and then they,
kind of willy-nilly.
yeah, and it
as they
also had
say. Not that that
problems
means
with
this one.
enforcement because there was violations then in some other section that applied to this one, so. Sometimes you like to see things move quickly, but you've gotta have enough time to think it through. And that doesn't mean we catch everything either, so. All right, anything else?
I was just gonna say the subcommittee meeting I thought went very well with Jim and Michael came and they've actually met again.
Yeah, we spent
So-
2 hours today talking about driveways.
Wow.
Parking lots, come on,
Riveting,
parking lots.
right? Well, actually, you don't rivet in driveways, it's
Yeah,
mostly
right.
asphalt.
It's a big deal though, around here.
So this meeting must have been refreshing. After a 2-hour driveway meeting.
I went and got dinner at Camp Pizza, burned the roof of my mouth, I came back, had this.
Right.
So and then we're going to the solar field tomorrow. So I haven't seen it yet, so we'll go.
You go to what?
And
We're,
the
the
solar
Platteville
field.
Solar Farm.
Oh, okay.
Solar farm, that'll be nice.
Yeah, I wanna see if the Knox box is in and if those pallets are out. And we'll walk around, the site's pretty good and stabilized, but the grass is gonna stop right now.
Yeah, and I mean, the far end, they've got wood chips spread yay deep all over, which is stabilizing good, and along the road, really going in, so.
Mostly looks good at this point, so I'm happy about where it turned out, cause it was really touch and go for.
It was a lot of mud and silt for a while.
Yep.
We had a good dry summer, which helped it.
Yeah, that was fortunate.
We have a staff meeting tomorrow morning, which
yeah.
maybe next time we can tell you a little more about. And then we have our first architectural review committee meeting this Thursday.
Wait till Wednesday, you can go up there and see, walk in the snow.
Maybe.
It was 70 on Saturday, it was
I
gonna
know,
snow
crazy,
today.
isn't it
I
amazing?
know.
Yep.
Welcome to the northwest corner.
Hey, you know what? You wouldn't be the first or the last. So.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I got those calls
Got a
the first
motion
year.
to
Why do I care now? Yep.
Second,
Second,
okay,
third.
second, all in favor?
Yep, aye.
I'm gonna take George and Peter on that, cause Lance, you can't come with the meeting.
Here's your recorder here.
Oh, come on.